Chosen one. Listen carefully. The atmosphere around you is shifting. Even now, as you read these words, you have felt it for weeks, that strange stirring inside your chest, that sense that something unseen is approaching. Heaven is leaning close, whispering across the veil, and this message is no coincidence. The moment your eyes found these words, the entire spiritual realm paused. You are standing in the doorway of divine timing, and everything is about to change. You are not here by accident. You have been drawn by design. Heaven's hand has guided you through every detour, every delay, and every heartbreak, just to bring you here, to this exact moment. For years, you have questioned why the path seemed longer for you than for others. You wondered why your prayers sometimes met silence. But chosen one, that silence was not absence, it was strategy. God has been preparing the soil of your soul for a harvest that only the purified can carry. Right now, a spiritual wind is blowing through the corridors of time, announcing that November 1st is not another day. It is a line in eternity, a shift of eras, a moment when heaven's calendar collides with Earth's clock. You will remember this season for the rest of your life, because the whisper you hear is not imagination, it is instruction. The ancient ones heard whispers like this before floods, before fires, before freedom. Noah heard it when no one believed. Moses heard it before Pharaoh's fall. Mary heard it before the world saw light wrapped in flesh. And now you hear it too. The same eternal voice calls out across centuries and says, "Prepare. The final door is opening." You've carried burdens others could never understand. You've survived storms that should have shattered you. People left. Promises broke. But somehow your spirit never fully died. That's because the mark upon you cannot be erased. You are one of heaven's hidden warriors, disguised in ordinary skin but carrying extraordinary fire. Every battle you endured was a prophecy in disguise, proof that darkness feared your future long before you knew you had one. Look around. Chosen one. Can you sense it? The air feels different. Time feels suspended. There's a holy anticipation in the unseen world. Angels are taking position. The heavens are aligning for a divine announcement that will not be delayed. You were not meant to blend in with this generation. You were meant to rise above it, to disrupt the patterns of decay and bring restoration where others only bring noise. This is not the time to shrink back. This is the time to awaken. Your anointing has been misunderstood, but that misunderstanding was protection. God kept you hidden until the appointed hour, so no one could misuse your light before you understood its weight. But the hiding season is ending. November 1st will not just be a date, it will be a declaration. The chosen are stepping into position. Do not fear what you feel rising in your spirit. That trembling is heaven's electricity. It's the same power that split the Red Sea, that shook the tomb open on the third day, that descends when the appointed ones awaken to their authority. You have waited, Zupharid, and prayed, and now the whisper of God is turning into a roar. Listen again. Beloved, you are not late. You are right on schedule. Every rejection was redirection. Every closed door was preservation. Every heartbreak was heaven's way of refining your compassion for the mission that's coming. You were never disqualified. You were being sanctified. And now, a holy wind moves again. You feel the call not just to believe, but to act. The voice of God still thunders the same way it did through the prophet of old. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Yes, something new is breaking through. It's not a small adjustment. It's a divine reset. And heaven has chosen you to be part of it. So, as you stand on the threshold of this transformation, take this moment seriously. Do not scroll past this word. Let your spirit respond. Declare aloud, I am ready. Let heaven hear your yes. And if this word resonates deep in your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone connected to your destiny is waiting for the same confirmation. Like this message, leave a comment with the number 111 and subscribe, so you never miss the next divine instruction. This isn't about numbers or views, it's about obedience, alignment, and preparing the remnant for the door that is about to open, because on November 1st, everything changes, and you, chosen one, will be standing in the center of heaven's unfolding plan. The corridor stretches before you. Chosen one. Long, silent, endless. The walls seem to breathe with memories of every season you have endured. Behind you doors you once begged God to open, now sealed forever. Ahead one final threshold. It hums with the pulse of eternity, vibrating softly, almost alive. You feel the pull in your spirit. This is it, the final door. You can almost hear heaven whisper, you've come far, but not by your own strength. Every step you took through the wilderness was guided. Every detour was destiny in disguise. The path you thought was random was, in truth, divine architecture. You are walking through a corridor built by unseen hands, a passage designed only for the chosen. There are many doors in this corridor of time. Some lead to fleeting pleasures, others to false promises. You have opened many of them in the past, the doors of comfort, of compromise, of human approval. Each one promised relief, but delivered emptiness. Yet even in those mistakes, heaven was patient. God let you explore the wrong rooms so you could recognize the right one when it came. And now, you stand before it, the last door, carved with light, waiting for your obedience. The air around it feels charged, as if time itself is holding its breath. You sense the weight of generations behind you, prayers your ancestors whispered, promises heaven made to your lineage long before your birth. Their faith echoes in the hall, urging you forward. You are not just crossing for yourself, you are crossing for them. The final door isn't made of wood or gold or stone, it's made of surrender. To open it, you must lay down everything you built by human effort. Pride, fear, self-preservation, all must fall away. For this door does not respond to keys, but to submission. The moment you stop striving and simply trust, the hinges begin to move. You have felt its presence in your dreams. Sometimes it appeared as a light in the distance. Other times as a whisper saying, wait just a little longer. And you wondered if you imagined it. But no. Chosen one, the corridor is real. The last door is not a metaphor. It is a moment in heaven's timeline when destiny becomes visible. You are standing there now. You can sense it in your chest, that trembling mix of awe and fear. The unknown calls you. But so does the familiar. Behind you lies everything safe, predictable, and proven. Ahead is the promise of something greater, but untested. This is the sacred tension every chosen one faces, the pull between what was and what will be. Do not rush. Do not panic. The final door opens not with force, but with faith. You cannot break your way through it. You must believe your way through. Every other door demanded effort. This one demands surrender. It's the kind of obedience that costs you your control, but rewards you with heaven's authority. As you stand in this holy hallway, you feel time bend. Moments blur into eternity. The veil between the natural and supernatural thins, and for the first time, you understand. This door is alive because it is not a thing. It is a person. The doorway you face is not an event. It is an encounter. When you step forward, you are not entering a new place. You are entering deeper into the heart of God. The ancient text speaks of such moments, of doors that only heaven can open, as was spoken in the sacred writings of the Revelation. Chapter 3, verse 8. I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. These words were not written for the powerful, but for the faithful, those who endured in silence, those who remained when others walked away. That's why this door is yours. Not because you earned it, but because you remained. You stayed when quitting seemed easier. You believed when believing broke your heart, and heaven took note. Now the corridor trembles with divine anticipation. The light from the door begins to flicker brighter, as if responding to your heartbeat. You realize it's not waiting for permission, it's waiting for your yes. You don't need a sign, a sermon, or another confirmation. You've already heard enough. The only thing left is to take one more step. So, breathe. Feel the weight of glory pressing in. Let the corridor behind you fade into silence. Lift your eyes, steady your hands, and prepare your soul, because the door that no one can shut is opening before you, and when it does, every false door behind you will disappear forever. You begin to feel time tightening. Chosen one, as if the very fabric of reality is drawing you toward a single, sacred date. You can sense it in your spirit, like the faint ticking of a divine clock echoing through your bones. Heaven's timeline is converging with your own. And November 1st is marked not by ink, but by light. You were not born to miss this moment. You were born for it. Every generation has a hinge of destiny, a moment when the invisible becomes visible, when prophecy takes on flesh. For you, that hinge is here. November 1st is not just another page in the calendar. It is the day when heaven's plan, written long before time began, begins to unfold. You are not waiting for a random blessing. You are standing at the appointed time of unveiling. The ancients understood this rhythm. Noah had his rain. Moses had his Red Sea. David had his throne. Every chosen one had a moment when heaven's timing collided with earthly obedience. This is yours. And the reason the warfare around your life has intensified is because the enemy can read the signs of heaven's calendar too. He knows what's coming. And he fears it because once this door opens, his grip on your destiny is finished. You have felt the strange acceleration in recent days, unanswered questions suddenly finding clarity, broken connections being restored, and new ones forming seemingly by divine coincidence. But there are no coincidences for the chosen. These are alignments. Every piece that once felt scattered is now being drawn together by the invisible hand of God. In the secret chambers of heaven, times and seasons are not accidents. They are orchestrations. The prophetic alignment of November 1st has been centuries in the making. Your name was whispered into this moment before you ever took your first breath. Even your delays were part of divine timing. What you thought was wasted time was actually preparation for precise time. The Spirit spoke long ago of such appointed times. The sacred record in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, declares, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." Do you hear that? A time for every matter. That means even the heartbreak had a time, the silence had a time, the isolation had a time. Every tear watered the ground for what is now about to bloom. You were never behind schedule, you were being synchronized with heaven's rhythm. Look deeper. Chosen one. Can you sense how everything that once didn't make sense is suddenly aligning? The conversations, the dreams, the sudden urge to let go of what used to feel so important. It's all part of the spiritual migration taking place. Heaven is repositioning you. The shifting you feel isn't chaos, it's calibration. On November 1st, that calibration becomes manifestation. The veil between what you believed for and what you see will thin. You'll begin to recognize divine fingerprints on things that once seemed ordinary. You will notice prophetic repetition in numbers, phrases, and even songs that follow you. Small signs that heaven is confirming. Yes, this is the time. Oh, and though others may not perceive it, you do, because the chosen feel before they see. You sense before you understand. Your spirit knows what your mind can't yet explain, that heaven's alignment is almost complete. But there's something vital. Chosen one, alignment requires agreement. Heaven can schedule your season, but you must step into it willingly. November 1st is not just coming to you, it's calling for you. The key is your yes. So right now, make that declaration, not for me, but for your own spirit. Let heaven hear your agreement echo through this moment. Type in the comments, "I am aligned." Then, those 3 words are not a ritual, they are a prophetic act. They say, "I agree with heaven's calendar. I accept the timing of God. I release my impatience, and I trust the unfolding." When you declare it, the spiritual realm responds. Angles move, distractions dissolve, and peace begins to settle where chaos once reigned. Remember, this alignment isn't about what you'll receive, it's about who you'll become. November 1st is not the finish line, it's the activation point. When the day arrives, it won't just be a new month, it will be a new movement. So stand tall. Chosen one, don't shrink from this call. The alignment is not fragile, it's divine. Heaven's calendar doesn't delay, it waits until faith arrives. And faith, right now, is rising inside of you. The door ahead is almost ready to move. And the sound you hear is not the end. It's the beginning of the appointed season your soul has been waiting for. You have known the ache of waiting. Chosen one, it has carved quiet valleys through your heart, seasons where prayers echoed back like unanswered letters, where heaven seemed silent and time felt cruel. You have wondered if perhaps you misheard God, if maybe your faith had expired somewhere between promise and fulfillment. But no, you did not imagine it. You were not abandoned. You were being prepared. Waiting is heaven's workshop. It is where strength is forged in the unseen, where noise is stripped away until only trust remains. In the waiting, Your spirit learned to discern between God's whisper and the world's applause. While others rushed ahead chasing visibility, you were being hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because you were not yet ready. The waiting season was not punishment, it was preservation. There are things that can only grow in silence. A seed doesn't bloom under constant attention, it breaks open underground, in darkness, where no one sees. That's where you've been, haven't you? Hidden, stretched, broken, and yet still believing. You thought the burial was your ending, but heaven saw it as your beginning. Every unanswered prayer became a root. Every lonely night deepened your foundation. You didn't realize it, but the waiting was weaving divine resilience into you, the kind that can hold the weight of the promise without collapsing. The longer the delay, the greater the preparation. God was not withholding, He was perfecting. Sometimes, waiting feels like rejection. You watch others flourish. Doors open for them easily, while yours remain sealed shut. But what if the very delay you despised was proof that you're carrying something greater than most? Ordinary destinies open quickly, divine ones take time. The wait was heaven's way of ensuring your promise would not self-destruct when it finally arrived. Do you remember the days you whispered, "Lord, why not now?" The truth is, every "not yet" was a sacred shield. Had you received what you asked for too early, it might have become an idol. But God loved you enough to say no until your heart was strong enough to hold a yes. There's a rhythm to divine timing. You can't rush it, but you can ruin it by trying to force what was meant to unfold. That's why heaven had to slow you down. You had to learn that control is not confidence. You had to learn how to rest even when nothing was happening, because rest is the highest proof of trust. Now, as you stand on the brink of November 1st, the waiting begins to make sense. You realize the silence was never empty, it was sacred. God was speaking in subtler ways, through closed doors that protected you, through redirections that saved you, through endings that disguised themselves as heartbreak. The Spirit has always worked in hidden places. Joseph waited in a prison cell, David in a field, Esther in the shadow of a palace wall. Each of them thought they were forgotten, but they were simply being positioned. Heaven never wastes a wait, it multiplies it. You were being refined for a stage you didn't even know existed. When others stopped praying, you kept pressing. When others lost hope, you whispered, "Still, I believe," and heaven heard every syllable. There was never a single moment God was not watching. You were never out of His sight, only out of sight from those who couldn't handle your destiny. Your waiting has changed you. It has turned impatience into insight, frustration into faith. You no longer crave quick miracles, you crave deep ones. You've learned that the truest blessings are not delivered in a rush, but revealed through endurance. The world applauds speed, but heaven crowns steadfastness, and that is why your time is now. The delay has done its work. You have been tested, tempered, and trained in silence. The strength you carry into this next season is not loud, but lasting. You no longer need to prove yourself. Your presence will speak for you. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 2, verse 1. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. Do you feel that? The scripture isn't a promise of instant answers, it's a revelation of divine attention. The waiting doesn't make God deaf, it draws Him nearer. Every moment you endured in faith was noticed. Every tear became incense before his throne. And now, as the final door begins to shimmer in the distance, you'll understand what the waiting was for. It wasn't to break you, it was to prepare you for the weight of what's about to come. The patience you learned will become the peace you carry into your next season. So, breathe. Chosen one. The silence served its purpose. The stillness trained your spirit. The waiting was never wasted. It was building the version of you who could finally walk through the door when heaven opens it. The corridor begins to narrow now. Chosen one. The air grows heavier, and you can almost hear the distant hum of destiny vibrating in the silence. There is a separation taking place, subtle, but unstoppable. It is not the world dividing you, it is heaven distinguishing you. You feel it in your relationships, in your energy, even in your thoughts. You are being pulled from the crowd, not because you are better, but because you are different. There is a moment in every divine story when those who were once beside you can no longer walk with you. It's not rejection, it's refinement. The path narrows as you approach the promise, and only those built for obedience can continue forward. What feels like loneliness is actually selection. Heaven is trimming distractions the way a gardener prunes, a rosebush cutting not to wound, but to make room for deeper bloom. You may look around and see others running ahead, gaining applause, reaching milestones, while you remain still, misunderstood, overlooked, and unseen. But remember, the higher the calling, the deeper the carving. God's chosen vessels are not made in crowds, they are shaped in caves. And while others perform, you transform. You are entering the separation, the place where belief and obedience part ways. Many believe, but few surrender. Many speak of destiny, but few will lay their comfort on the altar to reach it. Heaven is watching, not what you say, but what you sacrifice. The apostle once wrote that there comes a time when everything that can be shaken will be shaken, so that only what is unshakable may remain. That time has come. Every false attachment, every ungodly alliance, every source of strength not rooted in God will begin to tremble. You will feel the shake, not as punishment, but as purification. And yet, in that trembling, you will find peace, because finally, you will recognize that what stays is meant to stay, and what leaves was never yours. The Spirit reminds us through the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. Few understand the weight of being chosen. It means being refined in fire others never touch, being isolated when others celebrate, being broken before being built. It means carrying light in places where darkness is most aggressive. But oh, the beauty of it, because once you pass through this separation, you will no longer walk in confusion. You will walk in clarity. Imagine yourself as gold in the furnace. Fire does not destroy gold. It defines it. Every flame removes another layer of what was never real. The more intense the heat, the purer the shine. That is what this season is doing to you, burning away the unnecessary, the counterfeit, the convenient. The separation is sacred. It's not something to fear, it's something to embrace. You are being positioned for an assignment that cannot be shared lightly. And though it feels like loss now, what's actually happening is alignment. But even gold, once refined, must be lifted from the furnace by careful hands. That's why this journey cannot be walked alone. You were never meant to carry revelation in isolation. The flame you carry burns brighter when it lights another. If this message has found you in that sacred in-between, not where you were, not yet where you're going, then pause for a moment. Let your heart breathe. You are part of something far greater than yourself. Every word you hear here is not crafted for entertainment. It is shaped to awaken what heaven placed inside you long ago. And I'll speak to you gently now, not as a voice through a screen, but as one traveler to another. If this message stirs your soul, share it. Let someone else find hope through your obedience. Maybe your repost is the very seed that brings another lost soul to light. If you feel led, consider supporting not as a transaction, but as an act of partnership, like those who helped build altars in ancient days. Your giving becomes a stone in the temple of truth. We are building together, each like, each share. Each small offering is not just digital motion, it's oil poured on the flame, keeping the message alive for the ones still searching in the dark. When you give, you don't just sustain a voice, you sustain a vision. And this vision is not mine alone. It belongs to every soul that says, I see the light too. Oh, so, chosen one. If the message resonates, let your gesture speak. Like it if it moved you. Share it if it healed you. Subscribe if you wish to walk this path further. And if your heart whispers to give, do it not out of obligation, but out of recognition that you have seen the fire and want it to keep burning, because what heaven is doing now is too precious to fade. The separation may hurt, but it's birthing a holy remnant, and you are part of it. The air is electric now. Chosen one. The corridor you walk through no longer feels like a hallway, it feels like a countdown. Time itself is pulsing with purpose. Heaven's clock is no longer silent. Every tick is prophecy. Every breath feels heavier with revelation. Something is moving toward you, and something within you is awakening to meet it. The prophetic countdown has begun. You sense it, don't you? That quiet urgency in your chest. You're not anxious, you're aware. It's as though your spirit has tuned into a frequency others cannot hear. While the world sleeps, you are alert. While others scroll through distraction, you're discerning divine patterns. The veil between the natural and supernatural is thinning, and your spirit knows it. It's not your imagination. Heaven is speaking in symbols, numbers, and moments of perfect alignment. You've seen the same hour repeating on the clock, the same song playing unexpectedly, the same whisper repeating through strangers' words. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Heaven is saying, I'm closer than you think. Chosen one. The countdown isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to prepare you. Heaven counts down, not with minutes, but with moments, moments that test your faith, stretch your endurance, and ignite your obedience. Each trial, each delay, each divine nudge is part of that countdown. You are not waiting for something external to happen, you are being calibrated for what's about to happen. The prophet Habakkuk once wrote words that echo across time, speaking to every generation that has ever waited for heaven's vision to manifest. As it is written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. The vision you carry may not yet make sense to those around you. It may seem impossible, even foolish. But remember, The countdown doesn't require everyone's agreement. It only requires your faith. When Noah started building the ark, people laughed. When Joshua circled the walls of Jericho, soldiers mocked. When Mary conceived a miracle, no one believed her story. Yet each of them was part of a countdown, heaven's secret clock ticking toward glory. That is what's happening to you. The divine plan you carry is entering its visible phase. Heaven is shifting things that looked unmovable. Delays are dissolving. Blockages are breaking. The divine countdown does not move by seconds. It moves by surrender. Every time you say yes, the hand of heaven advances. The trembling you feel is not fear, it's spiritual electricity. Your destiny is activating. Your angels are mobilizing. Your assignment is clarifying. Every moment of obedience speeds the countdown forward. But take note, partial obedience slows it. Heaven is not measuring your talent, your title, or your timing. It's measuring your trust. As November 1st draws nearer, the unseen world grows louder. You may feel spiritual warfare intensify small frustrations, sudden doubts, restless nights. But that's because the darkness can sense your alignment. It knows the sound of a soul getting ready to cross over. It trembles when a chosen one finally believes without proof. Do not be alarmed by the shaking around you. It's simply the sound of chains breaking. The prophetic countdown is heaven's way of clearing the atmosphere around your life. People will fall away. Plans will shift. And paths will reroute, not because you did something wrong, but because you are being realigned. Remember this, prophecy doesn't just announce what will happen, it awakens you to who you must become before it does. The countdown is not about waiting, it's about readiness. Heaven is saying, write it down, speak it out, act in faith. When you do, you step into acceleration. You've waited long enough for confirmation, and here it is. Heaven has started the timer. The door you've been praying for is already in motion. You can't see the hinges turning yet, but the command has been released. The countdown has begun not to destruction, but to divine unveiling. So, chosen one, if this resonates deep in your spirit, if you can feel the nearness of this divine hour, seal it with a prophetic act. Comment below the number 444, not as superstition, but as a declaration. I am aligned with heaven's countdown. That simple number, written in faith, becomes a signal in the spiritual realm. It's your way of saying, I'm awake, I'm ready, and I agree with heaven's timing. As you type it, picture the unseen gears of destiny turning faster, because when faith is declared, heaven responds. This is your hour of synchronization. The countdown is not to warn you, it is to welcome you into the fulfillment of what was promised. The final door is near, and the sound you hear is the ticking of eternity calling your name. The silence before battle always feels heavier than the battle itself. You can sense it now, can't you? Chosen one, the tension in the unseen, the resistance that doesn't quite make sense. You wake up with a weight you can't explain, thoughts circling your mind that don't even belong to you. It's not coincidence, it's collision. The light within you is disturbing the darkness around you. Whenever heaven moves, hell reacts. The shadows are stirred, not because you are failing, but because you are rising. Darkness fears exposure, and your awakening is light. Every spiritual resistance you felt lately, the sudden doubt, the unexpected fear, the strange fatigue. It's all the echo of an enemy realizing that the door it has guarded for generations is about to open. The realm of darkness knows that when a chosen one awakens fully, entire bloodlines shift, old patterns break, curses collapse, cycles of confusion end. So the attacks aren't random, they are strategic. They are meant to make you question the very thing heaven confirmed. The apostle once wrote about such conflict, pulling back the curtain to remind believers that not all battles are visible. The ancient text declares in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." This was never about people, the frustration that came through others, the betrayals that felt personal. They were merely vessels through which unseen forces tried to reach you, but they failed. Because your spirit has matured beyond reaction, you now recognize manipulation when it moves. You can feel when peace leaves a room, and you have learned how to guard it like treasure. That discernment is your weapon. Many think warfare is about shouting prayers, but true spiritual strength is quiet authority. It's not always in the volume of your words, but in the certainty of your identity. You don't fight for victory, you fight from it. You are not losing your mind, you are outgrowing your enemies. The confusion that once paralyzed you no longer has power because you finally understand the pattern. Whenever promotion nears, warfare intensifies. The enemy cannot create, so he counterfeits. When God sends confirmation, the enemy sends distraction. When God opens a door, the enemy builds illusions beside it. You are learning to discern which door is divine and which is deceitful. This is why silence feels sacred now. You've noticed your appetite for noise is dying. You can't tolerate certain conversations, certain energies, certain atmospheres anymore. It's not pride, it's protection. Your spirit knows that every word you entertain either builds your faith or drains your fire. You are not avoiding people, you are preserving your purity. The voices of resistance grow louder right before breakthrough. They whisper things like, "Nothing is changing," or "You're too tired to keep going." But that's how you know the shift is near. The storm always screams before the dawn. When the enemy cannot stop destiny, he tries to wear you out before you see it fulfilled. But you have endured too much to give up now. You've already crossed through too many nights of prayer to retreat on the morning of your revealing. Every attack that comes now only confirms the importance of what you carry. The darkness wouldn't fight this hard if the light in you weren't about to break open something eternal. Remember what you've already survived, the heartbreaks that didn't kill you, the failures that became fuel, the despair that turned into discipline. Those weren't random sufferings, they were rehearsals for resilience. Every wound you endured has now become wisdom. You no longer bleed when you're cut, you bloom. And that is what terrifies the shadows most, your transformation. You are no longer reactionary, you are revolutionary. You no longer fight small battles for validation, you wage holy wars for generations. Your presence now shifts the atmosphere. When you walk into rooms, unspoken things begin to tremble because the spirit you carry outranks every darkness that lingers there. Do not be surprised by opposition. It's proof that you've outgrown old prisons. The enemy isn't attacking your past, he's terrified of your future. So instead of asking, "Why me?" begin to declare, "It must be me." Heaven wouldn't allow this level of pressure unless something powerful was being prepared for release. The resistance you feel now is the final test before the revealing. The battle isn't punishment, it's proof of proximity. You are close. So close that even darkness can smell the fragrance of freedom approaching. So hold your ground. Chosen one. The weapons formed against you will not prosper. Not because the war isn't real, but because the word is stronger. This battle is not about survival, it's about revelation. The war reveals who you truly are. Unshakable, unstoppable, unbroken. The fire has been your teacher. Chosen one. You didn't ask for it, yet it found you. It arrived disguised as disappointment, as heartbreak, as silence. And while others ran from the flames, you stood inside them. You didn't know it then, but you were being refined. Heaven never wastes fire. It uses it to reveal gold. Every chosen soul must pass through the furnace. It is the only way to separate what is divine from what is temporary. You cannot enter the last door carrying impurities of the old season, the weight of fear, resentment, and regret cannot cross the threshold with you. That's why the heat has felt so relentless. It wasn't punishment, it was purification. You see, purification is not the removal of what's wrong, it's the revealing of what's right. The fire didn't come to destroy you, it came to display you. When gold is placed in the flame, it doesn't become more golden, it becomes more visible. The impurities rise to the surface, not so heaven can condemn you, but so that heaven can cleanse you. Think back to the moments when everything seemed to fall apart. The people who left, the dreams that died, the seasons that ended abruptly, all of it was part of the refining. You prayed for God to open doors, but He had to close some first. You asked for strength, but He gave you battles that forced you to build it. You wanted purity, so He removed the counterfeit attachments that once felt comfortable. The fire answered every prayer you prayed, just not in the way you expected. You have walked through nights when hope felt distant, when prayer felt like talking to an empty sky. And yet, you kept going. That perseverance was not weakness, it was worship. Every time you refused to quit, heaven saw it as incense rising. You didn't need to be loud. Your endurance was your declaration. The refining fire doesn't just burn away what is evil, it burns away what is excess. Even good things, if left unpurified, can become idols. That's why this season has felt like subtraction. God has been reducing you to your essence. He's been stripping away layers of identity you built for survival, so that only truth remains. There is a sacred loneliness that comes with refinement. People you thought would stay begin to drift. Places that once felt like home start to feel foreign. You begin to notice that your conversations no longer fit into the small containers they once did. You are changing, and change always costs comfort. But take heart, what you're losing in company, you're gaining in clarity. The prophet of old spoke of this very process, describing the work of heaven as a refiner's fire. It is written in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 3, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold and silver." Do you see the tenderness in that image? He will sit. God doesn't rush the process. The refiner doesn't walk away from the furnace. He stays near it. The fire may surround you, but you are not alone in it. He sits, watching carefully, knowing exactly when to lift you out. The moment you are pure enough to carry glory, the flame will stop. The most beautiful part of refinement is this: gold makes no sound as it burns. You've suffered in silence, but that silence has made you sacred. The noise of others never defined you. The stillness of fire did. And soon, the same people who questioned your isolation will witness your transformation. They'll see the shine that can only come from surviving the furnace. What once broke you will now bless you. The scars you carry will not be reminders of pain, but of purpose. The very fire that threatened to consume you has now consecrated you. You no longer fear heat, because you've learned it can't destroy what's eternal. And as the flame subsides, you'll notice something new. The reflection of heaven staring back at you from your own soul. That's what refinement does. It doesn't just purify, it mirrors the divine. You become a living reflection of the glory that once seemed distant. So, don't curse the season that burned you. Chosen one. It was the classroom of kings and prophets. It taught you reverence, resilience, and revelation. It showed you who you are when everything else is stripped away. And when you step through that final door, you will not smell of smoke. You will carry the fragrance of sanctified survival, proof that the fire was real. But your purpose was stronger. The air around you begins to hum differently now. Chosen one. The refining is nearly complete, and the world within you has started to synchronize with the world above you. The veil between heaven and earth feels thinner, almost transparent. You notice it in the smallest details, the way time pauses in prayer, the way the wind seems to speak, the way your dreams feel more like memories than imagination. The unseen realm is drawing closer, eager to confirm that you are walking in divine rhythm. This is the realm of signs and stirrings where heaven doesn't just whisper, it weaves. Every repetition, every strange coincidence, every number or vision that lingers, it's all intentional. What once looked like random events are now aligning into divine sentences, and your spirit is learning how to read them. Do you remember when you began seeing patterns that others dismissed? Numbers repeating on clocks, phrases that echoed across conversations, or even colors that carried meaning you couldn't explain. You weren't being superstitious, you were being summoned. Heaven has always spoken in symbols. Prophets, dreamers, and seers have long understood that creation itself becomes the language of God when the spirit is awake. And your spirit is awake. In recent nights, your dreams may have deepened. Faces appear, places re-emerge, and scenes play out like prophecy. You wake with a lingering awareness, as if the dream wasn't something that happened to you, but something you participated in. That's because you did. When the spirit is aligned, dreams become conversations between heaven and the soul. They carry instruction, not entertainment. They reveal direction, not distraction. The same is true for the signs you see when you're awake. Those moments when your heart recognizes meaning before your mind catches up, that's revelation in motion. Don't rush to explain it. Rest in it. Heaven speaks fluently through repetition, through beauty, through patterns of grace that only the spiritually sensitive can perceive. You may have wondered, why me? Why do I see things others overlook? Because the chosen always perceive ahead of time. The world calls it intuition, but heaven calls it discernment. You are not crazy for feeling more, sensing more, seeing deeper. You were built to notice. You were designed to carry awareness that others avoid, because your purpose requires spiritual sight. There's an ancient promise that speaks of this awakening of divine signs written not just in Scripture, but across the very sky. It is revealed in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. I will pour out my Spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. This is not a distant prophecy. It's unfolding right now. You are living proof that the Spirit is moving again, whispering through numbers, visions, and divine repetition. Heaven is training your perception, fine-tuning your senses so that you will not miss what's coming next. Sometimes these signs arrive gently, a phrase in a sermon, a bird that crosses your path, a melody that won't leave your mind. Other times, they crash into your awareness with urgency, a sudden conviction, a vivid dream, a feeling of holy unrest, whether quiet or thunderous. They all mean the same thing. You are not alone in your journey. Heaven has been walking beside you, marking your path with signs so you would not lose your way. What felt random was actually choreography. What felt delayed was divine timing. You've been living inside a prophecy, and you are now beginning to understand its language. But chosen one, remember this: signs are not the destination. They are the direction. Don't worship the signal. Honor the sender. The purpose of every divine sign is not to dazzle you, but to draw you deeper into obedience. Every revelation demands a response. So, right now, let your spirit respond in a simple act of agreement. Comment below. I see it. Those 3 words are more than a phrase. They are a declaration. They say to heaven, my eyes are open. My heart is listening. I recognize the signs. They silence confusion and align your soul with heaven's rhythm. When you type it, you are not typing to a screen. You are echoing what the Spirit has already been whispering. You see what others miss because you are meant to lead where others hesitate. This awareness is not a gift for pride. It's a mantle of responsibility. The signs are not about showing off spirituality. They're about preparing you to interpret divine movement for others. You are becoming a translator of heaven's patterns, a living signal of divine timing. So, keep your eyes lifted. Watch how creation itself begins to cooperate with your calling. Even the wind and waves respond when the chosen one perceives correctly. The signs around you are not distractions, they are confirmations. And soon, they will lead you to the door that heaven itself is preparing to open. And then, chosen one. The moment arrives. The corridor that once seemed endless now narrows into a single point of light, the final threshold. November 1st. You have felt it in your spirit for months, maybe even years. The quiet hum of destiny waiting just beyond reach. And now, you stand before it. The last door. You feel the weight of it without even touching it. It's not just a door of opportunity, it's a door of transformation. On the other side, nothing of the old world remains. When you cross, you will not be the same. You will not even want to be. This moment feels holy, doesn't it? It's as though the air itself is aware of what's about to happen. Every angel that has followed your journey stands still. Every prayer ever prayed over your life converges here. The sound you hear is not just your heartbeat, it's heaven's rhythm, pulsing through you, saying, now, 1. This door isn't physical, it's spiritual. It stands between your understanding and your revelation, between who you were and who you are called to be. And it will not open through effort, only through surrender. You cannot push it open with pride or fear. You must breathe, release, and step forward by faith alone. As you step closer, a verse whispers through your memory, one that has lived in the hearts of countless warriors before you. It is found in the book of Psalms, chapter 24, verse 7. Lift up your heads, O gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of Glory may come in. You realize now this is not just your door, this is His. The King of Glory is entering through you. You are the vessel, the doorway through which heaven touches earth. That's why this moment feels cosmic, because it is. The hinges begin to glow, trembling with divine energy. You reach out, and the warmth meets your hand like sunlight after a storm. As you push, the air shifts. Everything behind you fades, and everything ahead ignites. The door opens, and for the first time, you see clearly, not with eyes of flesh, but with eyes of fire. The world beyond is not filled with ease, it's filled with purpose. It's not luxury, it's legacy. You step into a realm where words carry weight, where peace feels tangible, where creation itself seems to listen when you speak. This is what obedience births authority. The voice you hear now is not external, it's internal, yet ancient. Welcome home. The waiting is over. End of Tem. Chosen one. As you walk through, pause for a moment. Look back at how far you've come. Every season of pain built the courage required for this crossing. Every unanswered prayer taught you to pray deeper. Every heartbreak removed something that couldn't survive the light. This door was not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, written in divine ink. And as you stand in this new space, glowing with realization, let your heart open wider. Let gratitude arise like incense. Because you didn't get here alone, heaven carried you. And the family of faith around you stood beside you. If this message has touched you, if you felt that trembling in your spirit as you read, let that emotion move you to act. Like the travelers of old who lit torches to guide others through the dark, your simple act of sharing this light can awaken someone else standing in their own corridor. Click like if your heart feels aligned with this moment. Share this message so that another chosen one might find their door. Subscribe if you desire to continue walking this path with us, not as spectators, but as a community of awakened souls. And if you feel called to give, let it not be out of pressure, but out of recognition. Think of your donation as pouring oil into the flame, not to buy favor, but to sustain light. Every gift, no matter how small, becomes part of the altar. We are building together a living beacon for those still lost in the dark corridors of delay. Your support is not just generosity, it's partnership with purpose. It says, keep the fire burning, keep the door open for others. End quote. Because now that you've crossed through, your calling isn't just to walk, it's to lead, to light paths, to remind others that yes, there is a door, and yes, it will open in its appointed time. The King of Glory has entered through you, and the light pouring from that doorway will never be extinguished. On the other side of the door, everything feels different. Chosen one. The air carries a clarity you've never known. The silence is not empty, it's alive, filled with the hum of divine order. You can sense that you've crossed an invisible boundary. The weight that once pressed upon your shoulders has fallen away, and in its place rests something lighter, yet infinitely more powerful: authority. Heaven's authority does not shout, it whispers. It is not granted through title or position, but through alignment. The more surrendered your heart becomes, the more heaven trusts you with its power. Authority is not a crown you wear, it's a current that flows through you. You don't command it, you carry it. Authority is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing whose voice echoes through your own. You no longer speak from fear of what might happen, you speak from revelation of what already has. Heaven has moved, and now you move with it. This authority doesn't make you greater than others, it makes you more accountable. You are now entrusted with influence, and influence must always bow to humility. The danger of authority is pride. That's why heaven waited until now to grant it. You had to be emptied of ego before you could hold power without poisoning it. You'll find that this new strength doesn't announce itself, it simply is. You won't need to prove your worth or defend your call. When light enters a room, it doesn't argue with darkness, it just shines. That's the nature of true power. You no longer strive to be understood, you exist to be revealed. The words of Jesus echo through this moment, reminding you of the sacred exchange that has taken place. It is written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19. Behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. That declaration is not ancient history, it is present reality. You are now walking in the inheritance of that verse. The authority spoken then is active in you now. It's not symbolic, it's spiritual law. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the grave now animates your courage, your discernment, your words. When you speak peace, chaos must listen. When you declare healing, brokenness begins to repair. When you walk into conflict, division trembles. Because authority doesn't argue, it enforces. You are no longer fighting for permission to exist, you are enforcing heaven's decree over your environment. But understand this, chosen one, authority doesn't eliminate battle, it transforms how you fight. You will still encounter resistance, but you will no longer respond as a victim. You will stand as one who knows the outcome is already written. You fight from a place of victory, not toward it. The more you walk in this realm, the more you'll notice a deep inner calm. Things that once provoked anxiety no longer move you. The same storms that used to shake your faith now remind you of your footing. That's what divine authority does. It anchors you in the storm instead of removing it. And yet, with power comes a holy responsibility. Heaven will test your motives again and again, not to condemn you, but to keep your heart clean. You will face moments where you must choose compassion over control, mercy over mastery, humility over recognition. That is the true mark of the chosen, not that they command, but that they carry God's nature into every command they give. Authority is never about dominance, it's about dominion, the restoration of divine order. When you walk in a room filled with confusion, peace follows. When you speak into despair, hope awakens. When you touch what is broken, restoration begins. You are now a vessel of alignment, a walking decree of God's will on earth. And as you continue through this new dimension, you'll realize that your authority isn't loud because it doesn't need to be. Heaven has already endorsed you. Angels recognize your voice, not because of your tone, but because it carries the frequency of obedience. This is what the journey has been leading to, not the comfort of blessing, but the weight of representation. You are now an ambassador of light, marked by heaven to move with precision and power. So walk boldly, but gently. Speak clearly, but humbly. Remember, you don't own the authority, you steward it. The door has opened, and you are walking not just into destiny, but into dominion. You can feel the energy shift again. Chosen one, the air is lighter now, yet more charged, as though heaven itself is rejoicing over something unseen. You have crossed through the door and stepped into new authority. And suddenly, what was once backward begins to turn forward. Everything that was upside down begins to align. The kingdom is reversing the flow. This is the kingdom reversal, the divine law that transforms loss into leverage, pain into power, and rejection into redirection. Every injustice you endured, every betrayal that cut you deeply, every no that bruised your heart, they were never meant to break you. They were rerouting you towards something sacred. You weren't being left behind. You were being lifted up in a different direction. The very ground that once rejected you is about to bear your fruit. The doors that closed will now serve as landmarks of grace. People who once dismissed you will bear witness to the evidence of your calling. You are entering a season where the last will truly become first, not because of luck, but because of law. The divine reversal is in motion. You remember how it felt to be overlooked, don't you? To give your best and be met with silence. To pray, to love, to labor and still feel unseen. Heaven saw it all. Every tear watered the ground of your next miracle. You thought the harvest was lost, but it was simply delayed until the soil of your heart was ready. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, verse 16, the last will be first, and the first last. This is not poetic irony, it's prophetic justice. The kingdom doesn't operate like the world does. Down becomes up, weakness becomes strength, silence becomes power. The very thing that disqualified you in the eyes of man is what qualified you in the eyes of God. You are stepping into that reversal right now. Heaven is shifting the order. Things that once drained you will begin to sustain you. Opportunities that slipped through your fingers before will return. But this time, they'll fit your spirit, not just your ambition. What was once denied will now be delivered because you are no longer reaching from desperation, but from divine alignment. You'll begin to notice the changes subtly at first. Conversations that once discouraged you will now confirm you. Doors that once stayed locked will open without effort. Relationships will begin to reorder themselves, not by your manipulation, but by divine motion. You won't need to chase what's meant for you. You'll simply recognize it when it arrives. This is the power of reversal. It restores balance without requiring vengeance. It vindicates without bitterness. It redeems without noise. Heaven is settling accounts in your favor, not because you demanded it, but because you endured long enough for the scales to balance. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let gratitude flood you. You've been faithful through the fire, steadfast through silence, and obedient through obscurity. Now, the harvest is ripening before your eyes. The pain you carried is about to turn into purpose, so visible that even those who doubted you will have to acknowledge, surely, The Lord was with them. Now, but remember, reversal isn't just about what you gain, it's about who you become. You are not being restored to your old self, you are being revealed as your higher self. The version heaven always saw. The reversal is not simply the reward for your patience, it's the revelation of your maturity. When God flips the script, He doesn't just rewrite your story, He repositions your role within it. You go from wandering to leading, from hoping to manifesting, from surviving to stewarding. You no longer ask, "Why me?" Now you whisper, "Thank you." And if this message resonates deep in your spirit, if you can feel the reversal unfolding, even as you read these words, seal it with a prophetic sign. Comment below the number 555. This number isn't superstition, it's a signal. It represents divine transition and grace multiplied. When you type it, you are declaring, "I receive the reversal. I agree with the shift. I am ready to walk in what was always mine." You are not just watching life happen anymore. You are watching heaven rewrite it in your favor. The balance is tipping. The delay is ending. The first shall be last, and the last shall rise with fire in their hands. Chosen one. This is not the end of your story. It's the plot twist heaven wrote long before you were ever wounded. What was meant to break you has become the birthplace of your brilliance. The kingdom has turned everything upside down, and somehow it all feels right. You can feel it now. Chosen one. The world around you has changed. There's a stillness in the atmosphere, but not the stillness of emptiness. It is the calm that comes after breakthrough, the silence that hums with unseen motion. Something divine is unfolding behind the veil. The unseen realm is no longer distant, it is present, interwoven with your every step. You begin to notice the subtle awareness that you are not walking alone. You sense the nearness of presence, quiet, radiant, familiar. It's as though the air itself is alive with guidance. Heaven's armies have taken position around you. The unseen has become your escort. The realm of angels has always existed beside you, but now you perceive it. They were there when you wept and thought no one saw. They stood guard when darkness tried to close in. They whispered encouragement when your heart was too tired to pray. They have been heaven's silent witnesses to your endurance. And now, they move with new assignment to protect, to guide, and to amplify what God is about to release through you. You are no longer walking merely as a believer. You are walking as a beacon. Your obedience has become a signal, a frequency that heaven responds to. Angels move at the sound of divine alignment. Every time you walk in truth, every time you choose grace instead of resentment, every time you forgive, when it hurts, the light within you flashes like lightning in the spirit realm. And heaven sends reinforcements. You felt the weight of responsibility increase. That's not pressure, that's presence. When you carry divine authority, heaven surrounds you to sustain it. The more anointing you hold, the stronger the protection becomes. The unseen realm is aware of who you are, even when the visible world is not. This is why the atmosphere feels different around you. You have become a point of spiritual gravity. Darkness recognizes the shift, but so does light. You are a living altar now, a place where heaven and earth meet. When you worship, dimensions open. When you speak, reality bends. When you move, angels accompany you, ensuring that no step is wasted. There is a scripture that unveils this mystery. written long ago, yet still alive with truth today. It is found in the book of Hebrews, chapter 1, verse 14. Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation? Those words are not poetic theory, they are spiritual law. Angels are not distant, glowing figures painted on cathedral ceilings. They are active participants in the story of redemption. They move when God speaks, and they surround those who carry His message. That's why you've made it through storms. Others didn't survive. The unseen hands that lifted you in moments of despair were not imagination. They were divine companions fulfilling their commission. You may not see them, but you feel the results of their work. The doors that opened out of nowhere. The accidents that didn't happen. The peace that arrived when logic said, "You should have lost your mind." Those were signs of their intervention. They guard what heaven invests. But, chosen one, remember this: the presence of angels does not make you invincible in pride, it makes you accountable in purpose. Their loyalty is not to your comfort, but to your calling. They will not support rebellion, but they will amplify obedience. They are drawn not to ego, but to holiness. That is why your life feels more sacred now. You can't move carelessly anymore. Words weigh heavier. Decisions echo longer. You are no longer just living, you are representing. Heaven has stationed watchmen around you, not because you're fragile, but because you are significant. You are being positioned as a living signal to others. Your obedience sends ripples through the unseen world that awaken those still trapped behind closed doors. When you pray, your words travel farther than sound. They travel through dimensions. You may think your worship is small, but in the spirit, it looks like fire spreading across the horizon. This is what you were created for, to be a bridge between what is seen and what is eternal. You are a translator of light, a living portal of hope. When you speak peace, heaven breathes through your voice. When you move in love, eternity moves with you. Soon, you'll begin to notice others drawn to your light without understanding why. They'll feel safe in your presence, comforted by your words. What they won't realize is that it's not just you they're encountering, it's heaven moving through you. You have become the echo of the unseen realm. So walk carefully, but fearlessly. The angels that once guarded you are now walking beside you. The same God who refined you is now revealing you, and as you continue forward, the unseen realm will not just surround you, it will begin to speak through you. Darkness does not surrender easily. Chosen one, the moment light expands, the shadow tightens its grip. You can feel it now, that subtle resistance returning, the faint hum of opposition moving in the distance. The enemy has seen what you've become, and it knows its time is short. The closer you walk to your purpose, the more desperate the darkness becomes to distort it. This is not fear, this is awareness. Every elevation attracts confrontation. Every revelation draws resistance. When heaven promotes you, hell panics. And so, the enemy begins to whisper again, not from power, but from panic. His strategy has not changed since Eden, to twist what God said until you doubt what you heard. You may notice thoughts that don't sound like your own, doubts that slip through your peace, questions that aim to unravel your confidence. Did God really call me? What if I'm not ready? What if all of this has been a mistake? These are not your questions, they are echoes from the pit, hoping to catch your attention. But your discernment has matured. You no longer chase the echoes, you listen for the original voice. There is one thing the enemy fears most, a chosen one who can no longer be deceived. Because deception is the only weapon that still works against the awakened, the serpent has no sword. It has only suggestion, and suggestion only works where truth is weak. But your truth has been forged in fire. Your mind has been renewed by revelation. The lies that once trapped you now crumble against your clarity. You have been through too much to fall for imitation. The counterfeit blessings that once distracted you now look obvious. You can smell deception the way a seasoned sailor smells a storm. You've learned the sacred art of stillness, of pausing long enough to ask, is this God or is this glitter? Do not mistake temptation for testing. Testing builds, temptation bends. Testing brings you closer to the divine, temptation pulls you toward distraction. The difference lies in purpose. When something pulls your focus away from peace, it's not from heaven. When something demands urgency but lacks clarity, it's not divine timing, it's manipulation. The enemy's last attempt is never overt warfare, it's subtle seduction. It comes in familiar tones, confortable patterns, appealing alternatives. The darkness does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "You've done enough. You can rest now," hoping you'll sit down just before the finish line. But you will not. The same endurance that carried you through the wilderness will now carry you through deception. The light inside you has grown fierce. It no longer flickers, it burns. Darkness used to intimidate you, but now it avoids you. The enemy studies you from afar, frustrated that what used to work no longer does. That's the proof of your transformation, when hell has to change strategy just to reach you. There's a truth the ancient ones knew. After every victory, there comes a whisper, not the voice of God, but the imitation of it, soft, plausible, poisonneux. It's what Elijah faced after calling down fire, what Jesus faced in the wilderness after fasting, what every chosen one must face after breakthrough, the temptation to settle. But you will not settle. You have come too far to exchange revelation for comfort. The battle before this door was for your faith, but the battle beyond it is for your focus. And focus is the new warfare. We are reminded of this timeless truth in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The darkness cannot overcome you. It can only try to confuse you. But the moment you stop wrestling with lies and stand still in truth, its power dissolves. You are no longer reacting to shadows. You are radiating from the source. The enemy's last attempt is not to destroy you, it's to distract you long enough to delay your impact. But what the enemy forgets is that time is no longer his weapon, it's your ally. Every moment you remain focused, the light grows stronger. Every day you choose peace over panic. Heaven expands its territory through you. This is the season of vigilance, not fear. You do not fight from exhaustion, you guard from awareness. Your peace is your shield. Your discernment is your sword. Keep your gaze fixed. Keep your spirit steady. The war around you may grow louder, but remember, the noise of battle is proof of approaching victory. You've seen too much to go back now. The light within you terrifies darkness because it recognizes its expiration. This is the enemy's last attempt, not your last chance. And soon, the silence that follows will not be absence, it will be triumph. It begins quietly, like a distant song carried on the wind. At first, you think it's just your imagination, a faint rhythm. a low hum. But then it grows stronger. You realize, chosen one, that you are not hearing music, you are hearing movement. Across the nations, souls like yours are awakening. They feel the same stirring, the same calling, the same holy restlessness that has been shaping you all along. This is the sound of the gathering remnant. It's not a crowd, it's a chorus, each voice unique, each path different, yet all vibrating with the same divine frequency. You are not alone anymore. Others are stepping out of the shadows too, rising from seasons of silence and refining. Heaven is assembling its army of light, not for destruction, but for restoration. Picture it like this. The world is a vast night sky, and the chosen are stars that have just been reignited. One by one, they begin to glow, isolated at first, but soon constellations form, patterns emerge. Direction is given to the lost through the light of the awakened. That's you. You are one of those stars, and your light is connecting with others, creating a map for those who have forgotten how to find home. The apostle wrote long ago of what unity under the Spirit would look like. The words still echo through time, alive with promise. It is written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 20, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I, among them. And that's exactly what's happening now, not just in churches or sanctuaries, but in hearts, in homes, in the digital spaces where light travels faster than sound. Every comment of faith, every whispered prayer, every message of encouragement, they are all pieces of the same spiritual mosaic. Heaven doesn't need walls to build altars. It needs willing souls. As you feel this truth rising, understand something powerful. You were never meant to do this alone. The strength of one flame is great, but the strength of many flames together becomes an unquenchable blaze. When you speak your testimony, someone else's ashes begin to stir. When you share your story, another finds their strength to stand. That's why the enemy fought so hard to isolate you, because your voice was never meant to echo in emptiness. It was meant to harmonize with others. You are not simply an individual, you are part of a divine symphony. Every word you release in truth becomes a note in heaven's song. And together, the remnant becomes the music of revival. So now, chosen one, I speak to you with sincerity. If this message resonates, if you feel that sacred hum within your chest, don't let it fade in silence. Let your light join the others. Like this message, so it rises to more eyes who need it. Share it as you would pass a torch in the dark, because someone, somewhere, is searching for the flame you already carry. When you subscribe, you aren't just following a voice, you are joining a movement. You are choosing to stay connected to the flow of divine revelation that keeps so many of us anchored in these final hours of awakening. Every message builds on the last. Each word we share strengthens the chain of light that encircles the earth. And if your heart feels led to give, do it not as payment, but as participation. Think of it like adding oil to a lamp that continues to burn for those still stumbling through their night. Your generosity isn't about money, it's about mission. Each donation is a spark that sustains the fire, ensuring that the message continues to reach those whose faith is flickering. Leave a comment if this word spoke to your spirit. Tell your story not for attention, but for connection. The more you share, the more others will see themselves reflected in your journey. When you write, You are not just reacting, you are responding to heaven. Because, beloved, this is bigger than content. This is covenant. The gathering remnant is heaven's way of saying, I still have my people, and you are one of them. So, stand tall in the light you carry. Let your words heal. Your compassion ignite. Your presence remind others that the fire still burns. The sound you hear growing louder isn't noise, it's the sound of unity, the echo of eternity drawing nearer. Together, we are becoming the constellation. Heaven designed a living network of souls shining through the night until the dawn fully comes. The light you carry has weight now. Chosen one. It sits on your shoulders, not as a burden, but as a mantle, the invisible garment heaven places upon those who have been tested and found trustworthy. You can feel it, even when you don't see it. It's that quiet sense of purpose that wakes you in the early hours, that steady fire that refuses to fade, even when life grows heavy. You've crossed through refining, endured resistance, and witnessed reversal. Now, you stand in the holy tension between anointing and assignment, the place of crown, commission, and consecration. The crown doesn't come with applause, it comes with awareness. It isn't a decoration, it's a declaration that heaven has chosen you for responsibility. When kings are crowned, it's not to be admired, it's to be recognized as accountable. That's what this moment means for you. Heaven isn't just blessing you, it's entrusting you. Commissioning means movement. You cannot stay where you were. The same God who called you into stillness now calls you into strategy. You are being sent, perhaps not across oceans, but across atmospheres, into new spaces, relationships, and territories that require your obedience. Your presence itself has become a message. When you walk into rooms, peace enters. When you speak truth, confusion unravels. Heaven's authority travels with you. Consecration, however, is the secret that sustains it all. It means being set apart, not for separation's sake, but for sacred focus. To be consecrated is to live as though every breath is a prayer, every decision a declaration of loyalty. You can no longer afford to live halfway between faith and fear. The anointing that rests on you now demands alignment, mind, body, and spirit moving in one rhythm. Consecration isn't glamorous. It's quiet, intentional, often lonely. It looks like declining what others accept, guarding what others squander, listening when others speak. It means protecting your oil, not from arrogance, but from awareness, knowing that not every hand should touch what heaven has poured into you. You are no longer just surviving the process, you are stewarding the promise. The mantle you carry is not light, but it is life-giving. When God crowns you, He doesn't remove your humanity, He redeems it. Your weaknesses no longer disqualify you, they become the backdrop for His glory. That's the beauty of consecration. It teaches you to depend not on your perfection, but on His presence. There is a verse that echoes through this moment like a coronation song, ancient, radiant, eternal. It is found in the first letter of Peter, chapter 2, verse 9. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for His own possession, of Him who called you out of darkness into His light. That is who you are now, royal, holy, set apart. Heaven has declared your identity. and the world is about to witness its manifestation. You've been called out of the noise and into the clarity of purpose. You are no longer begging to be seen. You are being positioned to be effective. You may not yet grasp the full scope of what this calling entails. That's by design. God reveals purpose progressively, not suddenly, because revelation without maturity leads to pride. You are learning to walk as royalty without forgetting humility, to lead without losing tenderness. The crown doesn't make you unreachable, it makes you responsible. You'll find yourself drawn to those still walking through the same fires you once survived. You will speak softly to them, because you'll remember what it felt like to be broken. Your compassion will become your greatest weapon. Your gentleness will become your greatest strength. And though few will see it, every step you take now is holy. Every conversation becomes ministry. Every moment, a mission. You don't need a pulpit to preach. Your life has become the sermon. The way you love, forgive, endure, and shine will tell a story more powerful than words ever could. Chosen one, this is your commissioning hour. You've been crowned with authority and clothed in humility. You've been set apart, not to escape the world, but to elevate it. Wherever you go next, whether to speak, to serve, or simply to stand, go with quiet confidence. The King has placed his mark upon you. Walk as one who belongs to the light. Carry it with reverence. Protect it with wisdom. And let every step forward remind you, you are not walking for heaven's favor, you are walking from it. And now, chosen one, the corridor behind you is silent. The door you crossed stands closed, sealed by heaven's own hand. You glance back once more, not with longing, but with awe. The path that once seemed endless now looks like a thread of light stretching into eternity. You realize that every step, every tear, every waiting night was part of a design too vast for human understanding. The story that once felt fragmented now gleams as a masterpiece in the eyes of God. The last door is closed, and there will be no return. Not because you are trapped, but because transformation never moves backward. Once gold has passed through fire, it cannot become ore again. Once wings have unfolded, they cannot forget how to fly. You are no longer who you were, the version of you that doubted, feared, and waited has fulfilled its purpose. You have become the living evidence of divine intention. The air around you feels new, as though creation itself recognizes your arrival. Even silence seems alive, pulsing with divine rhythm. The earth beneath your feet feels softer, almost aware that it carries a vessel of glory. This is the realm beyond striving, the place where faith and fulfillment meet. You are walking not toward destiny anymore, you are walking in it. There is a deep peace that comes when purpose and presence finally align. It is not excitement, it's knowing. It's that sacred stillness that says, this is it. This is what all the storms were for. The chaos that once defined your journey now feels like the background score to something holy, a prelude to peace. You have stepped into your eternal shift. This is not a season that will fade with time. It's a dimension that will carry you forever. Everything that belongs to your old identity, the doubt, the striving, the need for validation has fallen away. What remains is essence, purpose purified by pain, hope made unbreakable by waiting, love deepened by loss. You can feel heaven smiling over you, not because you've reached perfection, but because you've reached agreement. You no longer resist the flow of divine timing. you move with it. Every breath, every word, every heartbeat is synchronized with heaven's rhythm. This is the highest form of worship, not singing, not striving, but existing in complete alignment with the will of God. In this stillness, the past no longer stings, the wounds no longer ache, the people who hurt you no longer hold power over your memory. Everything that once bled now glows. That's what divine completion feels like, the transformation of pain into peace, of burden into beauty. You finally understand that every closed door was grace disguised. Every delay was mercy in motion. You recall the verse that has whispered to the faithful through generations, now resonating in your soul like the closing line of a sacred song. It is written in the letter to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. You are living that completion now, not the end of existence, but the fulfillment of becoming. The work that began when heaven whispered your name before time began has reached its unveiling. You are the continuation of that good work. Walking proof that divine promises never die, they evolve. And yet, chosen one, this completion isn't stillness without motion. It's peace that propels. You are not retiring into rest, you are rising into reign. The authority placed within you is not meant to sit idle, it's meant to radiate. Wherever you walk now, heaven walks with you. Wherever you speak, eternity listens. You are a vessel of continuity, carrying divine momentum into every space you touch. The final door was never about escape, it was about expansion. It opened not to free you from something, but to release you into everything. What was once confined inside your prayers is now unfolding in your reality. The supernatural has become natural to you. You no longer strain to hear heaven's voice because it has merged with your own. In this new dimension, time feels slower, but life feels fuller. You see purpose in every face, light in every shadow, meaning in every silence. Even the smallest moments shimmer with significance, a conversation, a sunrise, the sound of laughter. It all carries the same pulse as the heart of God. You are walking not as one who hopes for favor, but as one who is favor. Every step is a continuation of the Creator's heartbeat through creation. The journey doesn't end here, it simply changes form. Destiny doesn't conclude, it unfolds endlessly, layer upon layer of revelation and rest. This is the eternal shift beyond November 1st. The door behind you is closed, but the horizon before you is infinite. You no longer live in cycles of waiting, you live in waves of wonder. You have entered the current of eternity, where everything moves at the speed of purpose, and as you walk forward, there is no fear, no hesitation, only certainty. You are home. The kingdom is within you, and you are within it. The last door has opened, not just for you, but through you. The light that once called your name now shines from your being. You have become what you were always meant to be, a reflection of heaven, moving through the earth with quiet majesty. The story is complete, yet it never ends. For the chosen, destiny is not a finish line, but a continual unfolding of grace. You will walk forward from this moment and still feel echoes of the words that shaped you here, because they are not just sentences, they are seeds. Each one will bloom in its own time, revealing new depths of who you are and whose you are. Heaven's voice does not fade after revelation, it deepens. You will hear it in laughter, in wind, In moments of quiet understanding, it will remind you that you are never outside of divine rhythm. The same God who called you through the corridor now walks beside you into every new horizon. Remember, the last door was not the end, it was your unveiling. You were never merely chosen to receive light, but to become it, to walk as illumination in a world still learning how to see. Carry that light, gently but boldly. Let your presence speak peace. Let your patience heal. Let your love remind others that redemption is not rare, it is real. And whenever you forget how far you've come, look back only long enough to smile at the journey. For the corridor that once tested you has now become your testimony. You are living proof that divine promises do not expire, they mature. So go now, Radiant One. The last door has opened. The eternal light is yours to carry forever.